heard the intro. Biggest news story, maybe one other, but I think this is probably the biggest story right now in the NFL. The running backs are going on strike. They're not really, not technically, so don't crucify me. I don't know really kind of the technicalities of a strike. I'm not a business guy like that. You know? Never been part of a strike. Never been part of a movement. So I'm not one to necessarily give a critique of this movement. But the running backs have had enough. They're tired of getting extremely underpaid for the beat and wear and tear and running it up the middle for 2 yards 4 times in a row when your offensive line can't even block. And they have simply had enough. There are multiple backs now that are franchise tagged, and 2 of them, I believe, I'm not aware, honestly, of what Tony Pollard is doing. I hope he's doing good. I feel like for some reason I feel like he's playing. I don't know why. I haven't heard anything really negative about him, so maybe that's why. But Saquon Barkley, like you just said, he could say fuck you to the Giants. He could. And honestly, from a business standpoint, he should. Why shouldn't he? Him and Josh Jacobs are now both on the franchise tag, haven't signed, and are, by all accounts, by all reports, probably not going to be reporting to camp. And all the other backs, all the other players seem to be behind them. I mean, this is just one of those ticking time bomb stories here that everybody knew was going to happen at some point. And, you know, it's about time. It's about time. And I'm not even saying necessarily you have to get rid of the tag, which you probably should, like that kind of a tag and the way it's used specifically on running backs, but I don't know how you would necessarily do that. I think that great radio, dude. I just think the running back position is one that it's hard. I see both sides from. I really, really do. You know, I mean, from a player perspective, they are taking a massive beating in the prime of their career. And their career, unless you're Adrian Peterson, you know, a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, really after a couple of years, you ain't shit. And you're replaceable as hell, especially in the NFL. So from the executive's point of view, I get why they're not so I really get why they're not so like aggressive in signing these guys, because there's value everywhere. I mean, you know, even for me, think about the Steelers last year. There was a good chunk in time where even I'll say I kind of said this, and I'm changing my tune on the man, but there was a time where I thought Jaylen Warren was a better running back than Najee Harris. And I was like, you know what? We wasted a first-round pick on this guy, and we have somebody in this other dude named Warren who comes in, wears a number in the 30s, and balls, and you're like, well, shit. Now, Najee kind of turned it on. I like what Najee could be. Offensive line's going to improve. I still like the talent of Najee, and I'm still a fan of Pittsburgh Steelers football, so I think Najee works. But that's besides the point. These guys are truly replaceable in a lot of offenses, except for a couple guys. Now, here's the thing. One thing I haven't really seen a whole lot of guys talking about specifically here is that in the case of Saquon Barkley specifically, he is so critical to that team. He led the team in receptions last year. I think he had 60 plus. He led the team. I mean, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen unless you have an insanely dynamic back. Without Saquon last year, the Giants would have been very bad. They would not have been able to score. And when he's healthy, he truly is a special talent. I mean, he's fun to watch. His thighs look like if they even grazed your face, that the skin would come off because they're so strong. But like, he's a great player. And the Giants know that he's a great player and know that they have these cards stacked against him. I think that is the thing about this situation that people are finally saying, okay, this is not good. And if you look at Josh Jacobs, I mean, Josh Jacobs, on the other hand, is the leading rusher in the league, and he gets rewarded by getting a mediocre contract. And for Josh Jacobs, too, I mean, maybe not to the degree, but with the departure of Derek Carr, you bring in Garoppolo, who's injury prone and old. They're going to want to run the ball a lot. And Josh McDaniels, I know, he likes to play action a lot. Think about Tom Brady. He loves it. So they want to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. And I think Josh Jacobs for sure. I mean, if I was Josh Jacobs, I'd be like, fuck you guys. I'm sorry. I need the bag and to play on a team that is competent at all, because the Raiders are going to be very bad this year. Josh McDaniels is not a good coach. But, I mean, you see McCaffrey getting in on it. You see Dalvin Cook still hasn't been signed as a free agent. Like I said, I think Tony Pollard's going to play, but he did get tagged as well. And I'm not certain on that, so don't quote me. But these guys, they should stand up for themselves, really. I mean, they should be able to stand up for themselves. It's just hard. Because, like, if you have a dynamic quarterback, that guy is going to carry you so far on his own. And the problem with the running back position is that just the way the game is played nowadays, it's just a rarity to see a guy run it 30 times a game, 20-something times a game. And there are a few teams that do it. Like Nick Chubb is probably the best running back in the NFL right now. And I hate to say that because he's a Brown. I fucking hate them. But he's very good. And even it's like sometimes you're like, I mean, with Baker Mayfield, think about it. Like, you were like, Jesus Christ, you throw it a lot. Brissett last year, they threw it a lot. And that's with Chubb. So, Derrick Henry even, they threw it a lot when they had A.J. Brown. Now, that's because they had A.J. Brown. But still, it's just, the position is getting phased out. And you get people like Jalen Warren or Cam Akers or someone who rises up through the cracks. Now, Cam Akers up and down, so kind of a bad example. It's just the first name that came to my head. Chris Carson, Amir Abdullah was a name back in the day. Theo Riddick is a name where you're getting good production from a position where you have a lot of value. D'Angelo Williams for the Steelers back in the day was a massive ad. He was fantastic for the Steelers, cheap and old, but fantastic. And the value is out there. So I think this is good for running backs in general. I don't know how the price tag will get jacked up, really, but I hope that it does, just for the sake. I mean, they have enough goddamn money. They really do. That's kind of the weird thing, that the NFL kind of sets these rules and the owners do, but like, they make so much money. They definitely can afford to pay him. And Saquon is phenomenal when he's healthy. I mean, I just said it, but he was their whole team last year. I don't understand the Saquon one. Josh Jacobs out, fine. I know he led the league in rushing last year, but there's something about the way how under the radar the Raiders have been, and especially with Josh Jacobs, that, and even, as good as Josh Jacobs has been, they've had moments where they have good fill-in talent. So, There's something about that situation, like I get it for the Raiders a little bit more. It's still stupid. It's still stupid. It's really dumb that what these teams are doing. And you know what? Soon I'm gonna have it with Najee because, a player like Najee Harris, you know, he's a guy that's still got a lot of question marks. If you take a guy like Najee Harris, if you're paying him a big deal where you're paying him $20 million a year or something like that, he's got to live up to that contract. Now, let's say Saquon, let's say he plays this year and if he has 1,600 yards, 1,700 yards, around there, let's say, he's going to be in the top 5 rushing. That's for sure. It's just hard with the cap, and you've got to use the cap to your advantage as a GM in every way possible. It's tough. I see both sides of it. It sucks for the players, and obviously they're making enough money. I want it to be the players to make more money because, you do think about it too. Like a lot of these bum NBA players make tons of money. The hockey players don't make shit, but they don't make as much either. So whatever. The baseball players make ungodly amounts of money for doing fucking nothing. So, like, pay the goddamn running backs. They're fun to watch. And honestly, bring me back some more bell cow running backs. Because, like, watching Derrick Henry fucking annihilate people is so fun. He slides through a defense so magically for a man that large. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Saquon Barkley, for a guy who literally could kill you with his leg, he has so much style and charisma and the way that he gets in and out of his cuts, and he's fluid and he's athletic and he's strong, and somehow he's still fast and he can catch the football out of the backfield. He's got everything you want as a back. Everything. And still they're like, nah, we'll take our fucking chances. See you later, bitch. I don't know, dude. I mean, that's the part about it that it's just like you really can't come back from it. I mean, we'll see. We'll see who wins. And you know what? Unfortunately, the way the running back position goes, and the way the injuries happen and things like that, somehow this is gonna be an L for Saquon. I can just feel it. I hope I'm wrong because, like I said, I love watching Saquon play. But this does feel like one where if the owners make a stand, he'll get hurt or something, and they'll be vindicated for some stupid fucking reason, and that'll be what it is. But I hope that they're able to get Saquon his money because he deserves it, and we all don't want to see him sit out, especially for those boys who have already drafted in fantasy and took a chance on him. Good luck, boys. I'm here for you. I am.